What's going on, guys? Matt here, back again with another video. Episode 5 of the Market Watch series, where we go through market moves and do some sports card analysis and see where the prices have moved based off events, news, or rumors. Before we start, smash the like button and hit subscribe if you're enjoying the sports card content. And just also keep in mind that this is being recorded just before the Game 6 of the Clippers and Suns game. So potentially the Suns could be going into the NBA Finals in about an hour, in a few hours' time, or the Clippers could be going into Game 7. So, a bit of news that might be, it might be different once this video comes out, because I am going to be including the first player in it. And yeah, the first player that we're going to be talking about today is Paul George. So, Paul George over the past week is up 17.92%. So the thing with Paul George is his rookie year was 2010. So sort of like the pretty crappy spot where Topps was giving up their license and then Panini were taking over. He doesn't have too many sets where he has a rookie card. You've got National Treasures, Donruss, Prestige. There's a few more out there, but there's not like the amount of sets there are today where there's like Prism, Optic Select and all that sort of stuff. So with Paul George, there's actually, more so the Donruss and the Prestige are the two base cards that everyone will be gravitating towards. With the Donruss, they actually are hard to find in great condition, because it is a bit more of the old Donruss cards. Like you see the current ones nowadays, they're thin and kind of sturdy, but the old ones were sturdy, slightly a little bit thicker as well, but they just had a lot of potential to get some whiting on the edges. But for me personally, Paul George isn't a bad player performer, or isn't what everyone is calling him out to be. I do think people have to reflect back that a few years into his career, he did have that incredible playoff series where he was pretty much matched up against LeBron James and the Miami Heat. And actually, he was actually being compared to LeBron. People were saying that this guy is going to be the guy that takes over LeBron. And I think he's had he's had the injury, the broken leg. He's also, it hasn't even been that bad in the playoffs, in all honesty. Like, I think Westbrook in that OKC team probably was the main reason why they were playing so badly. But I would honestly take him over like a Westbrook or a Damian Lillard, and those two get pumped up so much more. And you've got Paul George, who can play defense and is great on the offense as well. So, just going through his Donruss. Donruss Raw, like I said, if you're trying to buy this card raw on eBay and trying to grade, you're very rarely going to get a card that's in grade-worthy condition, because I have about 15 of these, and I actually went through the grading of them, and I didn't even end up sending any of them in, just because, like I said, the edges have some whiting on them, and it's quite hard to get quite mint. So unless you've got someone who sent in at the start, and the pop count will reflect this as I go in further, but yeah, as you can see, it's sort of an upwards trend here. The last sort of week, it's gone up. So I actually have had a few of these on eBay sell for around $15. And now you can see the latest prices are going up to $22 US. So if you actually go back to the 365 days, these actually were sky high, because Paul George and the Clippers and Kawhi as well were very hyped. So they actually did hit like this $50 range here. And I remember at this point, I still had the 15 Paul George Donruss cards, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to hold it, because I do reckon it'll hit $100. Clippers got knocked out, and it didn't work out like that. So it was just a lesson learned, just to take profit rather than trying to time it so perfectly. And then as we're going into the PSA 9 and PSA 10, so you can see it's a relatively low pop count for this card. So PSA 9, you've got 77, and the current going price is $100 US. And then PSA 10 is pop count of 52, going for $380 US. So it is a lower pop count, because people weren't grading base as much back then, and even if they are now, you're probably going to get a PSA 8, just because, like I said, the condition of these are quite easy. It's quite easy to damage the card, and yeah, it's just something that you should be noting for if you are trying to find a Paul George graded rookie card, especially because there aren't that many out there, and they all seem to be poorly graded. So even if you went through my grading video in the last that I posted, I had two Paul George cards. One was a 2012 Prism, one was a Prestige rookie. Both got PSA 8. So I know it's more personal experience, but I have been noting that more on the pop report as well, that, yeah, his cards don't really grade well because of how old they are, and people weren't really grading base back then. So the next player I do want to note today is Kylian Mbappe. So again, not a massive soccer fan, but when you're sort of in the sports card, I guess, game, you kind of have to take notes and kind of understand what's been going on around. And with Mbappe in the Euros, France were quite disappointing. They got knocked out by Switzerland in the penalty shootout. Mbappe actually didn't score any goals. He had one goal, but was ruled offside, so got taken away from him. I don't really know too much, but I don't have any Mbappe cards personally. I have been planning to pick up one. I actually thought about picking up one just before the Euros because I was like, I really want to support this and actually have something like a reason to watch the Euros. I'm glad I didn't now, but I know the boys at Double Coverage have said that he's sort of. I like hearing comparisons in other sports because especially if you don't understand soccer, it's good to hear some comparisons. But the boys at Double Coverage have said he's sort of like the Patrick Mahomes, and if you do compare him to like a Patrick Mahomes in terms of NFL to soccer value, Patrick Mahomes is a young player who's at the start of his career, already won an MVP, already won a Super Bowl, so got so much more left to give. And if Mbappe's the soccer comparison for Mahomes, I'm massively in because I think Mahomes, if you're looking in terms of the Mahomes, Luka, who else you want to include in there? Also include Mbappe and all those sorts of players. I think Mahomes is honestly probably the safest bet you can go because he's got just massive potential with what he's got. So, if the boys are saying he's like Mahomes, then I'm going to trust that and back that in. But I do think now people are going to be panic selling because they're going to see that Mbappe, he actually, not kicking any goals for the whole tournament. It's obviously quite huge for his market. And I think people will panic sell because they're quite disappointed. They would have wanted a quick flip and they're not going to get that opportunity. So they're just going to panic sell and not hold it. But for me, I do see it as an opportunity to buy. I know the boys did talk about the Kylian Mbappe 2017 Topps Chrome Champions League base PSA 10. We spoke about it in our lockdown lounge last week, and they said at $1,300 US, they'd go for it, and look at it now. It's come back down to $800 US. So I'll probably be looking at something like that, maybe a short printed card, maybe a refractor. I'll do some more research into that, but I'll wait for it to kind of calm down and level out a little bit more before I actually do get into it, I guess, and enter the market for Mbappe. But I'm excited for that, and I do feel a little bit sorry for anyone that tried to go for a quick flip, but there's opportunity when fear comes. So, yeah. The next player I do want to highlight is Khris Middleton of the Milwaukee Bucks. I might have highlighted him in a previous episode, but Khris Middleton's actually been playing really well during the playoffs. He's had a few off games during the playoffs so far, but also with Giannis out, he's stepped up in key games, and Giannis has even said that in the fourth quarter that he trusts Khris Middleton too. If he wants the ball, he gets the ball sort of thing. So Giannis taking a step back and letting Khris be the number one at times has been huge for the card market. You got to remember with Khris Middleton as well, was drafted by Detroit and traded to Milwaukee in 2011, I think it was. So his cards was actually the first year Prism. And at one point as well, he was actually heavily pumped by Sports Card Investor. I remember getting one of his newsletters and he was saying that go for the number 2, number 3 players of teams that you think will go far into the playoffs. So number 2, number 3 player at the time for Milwaukee Bucks was Khris Middleton and Dante DiVincenzo. And yeah, he went for both of those players. And a lot of people were like, Khris Middleton kind of dropped, because I mean, if you kind of drop back a little bit more, you can kind of even see, I don't know if it actually reflects in the graph. No, not really, actually. So, the graph only goes back to February, so you can't really see it anyway. But he's sort of been trending down, and just before the playoffs was around $50 US, and he's sort of spiked up. So, $50 US into around $80 US isn't a bad flip for you there. That's, 60% that you're up on the card. He's quite old. I think he's 30. He might be 29 or 30, so I can't see him going up too much more unless Milwaukee wins the finals. Giannis does that, not badly, but to a point where Khris Middleton just takes over and becomes the finals MVP, which he could. I think that's his greatest potential for boosting up his card price. Other than that, I can't see him being traded or becoming that number 1 option on the team for a whole season. I think he's just a perfect number 2 option. Great defender, great scorer, just a great all-round player. So I'd be trying to sell Khris Middleton right now unless you're trying to time it and think potentially he could win the finals MVP, which probably isn't like as much of a wild take as you think, but I think I'd rather just be safe and sell the card if you do have it. So, and yeah, the last player that we're going to be speaking about is another player playing in today's game that's about to happen, and that's Devin Booker. So I personally don't own any Devin Bookers. It's a bit unfortunate, but you're unable to have every single player that you want to be investing in. Like, I don't have Devin Booker. I don't have many LeBrons. I don't have any Mahomes, actually. I've been trying to get some Mahomes, but just such a ridiculous price. I'm trying to find the perfect card as well. I don't have any Giannis's, so it just happens. You can't collect every single player. I try to have my eggs in every single basket, but you just can't have it like that. But over the last 7 days, Devin Booker is down 5%. It might be due to Clippers winning the last game, so potentially making the series a bit longer. Could also be due to the Suns being up 3-1 and people thinking, kind of cooling off and just preparing for the NBA Finals and just being like, all right, I'm going to hold my cards until the Finals and then sell then. So you might see that cooling off with teams that aren't going to be playing, but as I was just saying, they're in Game 6 right now, so they could be a Game 7 and you might see a bit of a bump in that price. But I do see a nice opportunity here with Devin Booker. I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of buying into the hype, so take of this what you will. I might wait a little bit until the off-season, but I do like Devin Booker. I don't have any cards, but the reason I do like him is he can hit points. He's probably, like I said, Stephen A. Smith has said he's the closest thing to Kobe, or he's the next Kobe, and it's not a wild take as well. I think he's pretty close to it. He can hit points at will. He hit 70 points at one stage in his rookie season, or was it his second year in the league? So he's culturally relevant. He's dating Kendall Jenner, so he's going to be in the media a fair bit. And I also think potentially he could be the next face of the league. So once LeBron and Kevin Durant and all those sorts of players retire, you're going to have Giannis, you're going to have Devin Booker, you're going to have Luka, you're going to have Zion. And I think Devin Booker, with his scoring ability, could potentially be that main guy. So he's still quite young. I think he's 24 or 25 years old. So he hasn't even really hit his peak yet. And you give him another 3 or 4 years and he could be the number one player in the league that we're just constantly talking about, that can score at will, like a Kevin Durant right now, who we just keep speaking about as being an all-time great. So the opportunity I do see here with Devin Booker is he is down 5%, but the card I am looking at today is his courtside silver PSA 9. So a low pop count. This one actually it's obviously short printed, but it has slightly more than Trae Young's, just because I think Trae Young's courtside silvers are probably still at grading right now, so you might see it even up a little bit, but I think the pop count when I looked at it was around 70 to 80 for each player. Devin Booker's was probably a little bit more, at like 90. But Devin Booker's Select courtside silver PSA 9, so the courtside being the most short print level that you can get in Select, it actually last went for $1,050. So $830, and it's kind of just stayed around and hovered around this area. So the issue is obviously finding a listing that you can buy with only 31 being out there and people trying to sell it. But the opportunity I do see here is with Trae Young, and when you compare it to it. So I do like comparing players. There was one, it was around the off-season last year where I saw Darius Bazley courtsides and Brandon Ingram courtsides at the same price. And I just thought to myself, who would you rather, Brandon Ingram or Darius Bazley? And I ended up buying some Brandon Ingram courtsides, and they ended up going up, and then Bazley's dropped. So sometimes comparing prices between players isn't a bad thing to do, and I think a good one here is Devin Booker and Trae Young, especially because both are leading their teams into the finals, potentially Devin Booker more so having a chance than Trae Young at the moment. But with Devin Booker, I do think in 5 years' time, we're going to be talking about him more than Trae. I might be wrong. It's a bit of a 50-50 split, but I'm going to lean towards Devin Booker just because of his scoring ability. But yeah, as I was saying, so PSA 9 is going for just over $1,000, and when we look at Trae's one, which has 27, this card is going for $1,725. So I don't get why there's such a disparity there, where Trae is almost double the price of Devin Booker's same card. I know cards later on are hyped a little bit more, but when you're looking at even Devin Booker's base, I know Devin Booker's base prism has way less than Trae's, but it's almost like triple the price of that. So when you see Devin Booker's courtside silver, which is way more, which is short printed as well, and it's less than half around half the price of Trae Young's Select courtside silver, PSA 9. I think you've got to note that, and just I don't know. I don't know whether Trae's will drop or whether Devin's will increase, but I do think that there's something wrong there, and I don't know which one will happen first, but if I am looking at a Devin Booker card, I'd probably be going for like a courtside silver at that price, and like I said, I'll probably wait until the off season because the prices will cool off a little bit, and barring Devin Booker killing it and absolutely averaging a 40-point finals series and winning finals MVP, I don't see it really jumping up even after they win the playoffs or the NBA finals. But as we have done in the last few weeks, we're going to go through the biggest rises and fallers over the past 7 days, and we'll try and pick out a few names and see why they have and why they haven't. So as we keep going up, Mia Hamm. So I noted that Mia Hamm had a massive auction that went off for her rookie card on, I think it was Golden or maybe Probe Scene one of the auction sites, but it went for around 30 grand for her rookie card. So a boost in that price brings up the rest of her cards, which is great. So as we keep scrolling down, any names that we can see that have popped up. Gary Trent Jr. Again, look at the volume of sales because that is important rather than having one outlier sale bump it up. Aaron Donald, that's a good one to see in there. I'm glad to see some football jujus in there as well. Jarrett Stidham, I swear he was in that last week. I literally don't get why people are buying Jarrett Stidham. He's got no chance of starting at the Patriots with Mac Jones and Cam Newton right there right now. Isaiah Stewart's in there, which is a good one. Bukayo Saka as well, who won the man of the match, and he was in it last week as well for the biggest risers. And I think he's starting right now for England in the Euros, which is good. Khris Middleton, as we've noted, Patrick Williams, Jadon Sancho, who just I saw transfer rumours to Man United. I think it's actually official due to reputable source reporting on it, actually. So Paul George is in there as well. Sabonis, Sekou. Good to see some of these players that are in the playoffs going up again. Brandon Clark going up, 76 sales as well, so it's quite a good jump. Cam Reddish, who hadn't played for 2 months, back into the NBA playoffs, and he's actually playing, contributing quite well. Anything else you want to know? Landry Shamet got knocked out. Tracy McGrady, Kyle Kuzma. I wouldn't be buying any Kyle Kuzma guys. All right, let's go to the biggest market fallers. So, again, Terrence Mann. So this was one. You should have been selling right as soon as he had that 39-point game. Sorry. Tyrese Maxey's dropped after that big rise last week, as we noted. Pokusevski, Lewandowski. I think Poland got knocked out of the Euro, so that makes a bit of sense. Clarkson, Nets got knocked out. So Ronaldo, Portugal got knocked out. Felix, Portugal got knocked out again. Dwayne Haskins, I just would sell. I do have some Dwayne Haskins potentially for him just having the news of him starting, but that I would just be selling. I wouldn't even be watching the game because I just have zero trust in him at all. AJ Dillon's finally in the biggest losers. He's been in the biggest rises for the past 2 weeks, and now he's dropped. So maybe not as culturally relevant nowadays with his break page for the past week. Mason Greenwood, Dan Marino, Mookie Betts, John Collins is in here. DiVincenzo, who's been out for the Bucks anyway with an injury. Wendell Carter Jr., Karl Anthony Towns. Kevin Durant was being knocked out. The Time Lord's in here. Huge buying opportunity there. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, not a bad one there. And yeah, that's it. So to round it out, as always, guys, I appreciate it if you've made it to the end. Let me know down below if you're enjoying that sort of content, as always, and give us a like and hit the subscribe button. Let me know down below as well if there's anyone you want me to be including in future episodes or you want me to be having a look at through market movers. I think it's a great tool that you guys should be using. And if you're into your sports card investing quite heavily, it's not a bad one to have at your disposal just in case you want to be looking at market prices and seeing whether they're trending up or down. But as always, guys, I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.